them Mahavan or Thalavan or Kamyavan or Madhuvan. In this way, all the different places where he was playing around, he will name after the 12 forests of Vrindavan. And the pond where they go and take a bath, they name them Radha Kun and Sham Kun. In this way, from the very beginning of the life of the Sanatana Goswami, we could able to see that how much is a transcendental appearance in this world, whereas the Shastra itself declared that Sanatana Goswami is none other than Rati or Lavanga Manjari. And beautifully, from the very beginning of his life, he was too much attached to the pastime of Lord Krishna himself. And in his youth, he always wanted to read Srimad Bhagavatam. And it's not like nowadays where Srimad Bhagavatam is very easily available everywhere. Even at the present moment, you can purchase, some Srimad Bhagavatam from online. But those days, Sanatana Goswami's time, it was very difficult to find and get the Srimad Bhagavatam. So in his youth, he was very much eager that he wants to read Srimad Bhagavatam. And one day he had a dream that in the dream, a beautiful Brahmana boy, a Brahmana man, he came and offered a Srimad Bhagavatam to him. And in a dream, he happily received. But suddenly he woke up and he saw that, there is no Srimad Bhagavatam. There is no Brahmana man. It was merely a dream. And he was very sad about it. And next day morning when he got up and then he was getting ready to perform his morning puja, and a Brahmana man who exactly appeared in his dream, a beautiful Brahmana man, he came and gave him the Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, he understood that he is not different from Krishna himself, who has given him this wonderful treasure of Srimad Bhagavatam. So he glorifies the Bhagavatam. He offered, full dandavat to the Srimad Bhagavatam given by this Brahmana man. And he said to the Srimad Bhagavatam, you are my guidance, you are my friend, you are my only guru, and you are my treasurer, and you are everything in my life. In this way, he accepted Srimad Bhagavatam and he was very much absorbed in the reading of Srimad Bhagavatam. And at that moment, his father Mukunda was very much, he was attached to the government of the Jalauddin Fateh Shah, where his father, Sanatana Goswami's father, he was working as a private secretary for the Jalauddin Fateh Shah government. So when his father retired, automatically the job been offered to Sanatana Goswami together with Rupa Goswami, and they're very highly educated. And previously that post also, like Sanatana Goswami, he was offered the post of a treasurer, and that post of treasurer, it was occupied by Sakara Malik. So the moment they offered the treasurer post to Sakara Malik, when Sakara Malik retired, the post was offered to Sanatana Goswami. Automatically, Sanatana Goswami began to know to people as Sakara Malik. And there was another post, private secretary. That post was offered to Rupa Goswami. And in the beginning, that post was occupied by Dabir Khan. Dabir Khan is the Muslim, who have occupied that post. When that post, became empty, then that was offered to Rupa Goswami. In this way, automatically Rupa Goswami also came to known as Dabir Khas. In this way, even though they were born in a very highly elevated Brahmana family, but because of accepting the occupation from the Mohammedan, the Muslim government, and Sanatana Goswami, he was known as the Sakara Malik, and Rupa Goswami was known as the Dabir Khas. In this way, even though they were very much occupied in the work of the Muslim government, but they were very consistent into reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, and with many other devotees, they were discussing Srimad Bhagavatam. And even though they were in the work of the Mohammedan, but their mind and intelligence always only absorbed in Krishna consciousness. And in due course of time, they wrote a letter to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And they wrote many letters to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that they want to come and join Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's service. But somewhere or other, they did not get any reply from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And finally, one day they received a reply from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And in that reply, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has said something very hidden way. Mahaprabhu says in his letter, in his reply to the Goswamis, Sanatana and Rupa Goswami, Mahaprabhu says, he said, when a wife with a husband at a lover, she serves the husband much more better. But mind, she's always meditating on the lover. So in other words, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, you carry on your work with the Mohammedan, but in the same time, with your mind and intelligence, you always think of me. In other words, Mahaprabhu said in the letter is that wait for the mercy of Krishna. Beautifully, Mahaprabhu wrote that letter, that a wife with a husband, she got a lover, and she served the husband in a very better way. But a mind always thinking, meditating on a lover. In this way, Mahaprabhu told the Rupa Goswamis and Sanatana Goswami to work with the Mohammedan, and with your mind and intelligence always absorbed in me, and wait for the mercy of Krishna. In this way, that the letters arrived, and they have read the letter, and in due course of time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided that he has to visit these great devotees, Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was planning to go to Vrindavan. So he took the road to go to Ramakeli. That is where the Goswamis, Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, in the work of the Mohammedan. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived in Ramakeli, and Mahaprabhu arrived, with hundreds and thousands of devotees, with the congregation members, and they were very much, in singing and dancing in Ramakeli. And somewhere or other, one of the police officer, one Mohammedan, he came and reported to the Nawab Hussain, the Sultan of this Ramakeli. He came and told the police officer came and told the Nawab Hussain that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come, and there are thousands of these people are singing and dancing. I'm hearing on this thing, and Nawab Hussain called one of the devotees, Damodar Khan, that this devotee, this person works for the Nawab Hussain, government, but at the same time, he is also a very great devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Nawab Hussain asked, Damodar Khan about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Damodar Khan, fearing the protection of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was fearing the safety of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he told Nawab Hussain, actually Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is just it's just a merely a sannyasi, a normal sannyasi, and he's just going door to door and begging and nothing else. But the Nawab Hussain was not very convinced with the reply of Damodar Khan. He says that how can you say that this personality, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is an ordinary man? Nawab Hussain said, a sultan. I am the sultan of these people, and I occupy. I give lot of work to all these people, and everybody are working for me for money. And if I don't pay them, nobody works for me. Whereas this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not paying anybody, but he has got hundreds and thousands of people obedient to him. They are surrendered to him. So how is it that you are telling he is just an ordinary sannyasi, just begging door to door? In this way, Nawab Hussain was not very convinced with the answer of Damodar Khan. So he invited Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami and inquired from them. And Sanatan Goswami, he was very honestly, he told Nawab Hussain, actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not different from Krishna himself. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he told Nawab Hussain, whatever things you have in your life, whatever position, whatever wealth you have got in your life, all are by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is not different from Krishna himself. So in this way, Sanatan Goswami answered Nawab Hussain. And Nawab Hussain left, though he was satisfied with the answer. But then Sanatan Goswami was thinking, this Nawab Hussain, although he may appear to be satisfied with the answer, but his mind is very unsteady. This Mohammedan is very cruel and is very powerful also. He can make anything, very dangerous, things for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thinking in this way, Sanatan Goswami he sent a message through somebody to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Ramkeli. And in that, somebody brought the message to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But at that moment, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very deeply, absorbed in singing and dancing of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And the messenger waited for some time. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could able to see that the devotees are in a very great anxiety at that moment. And understanding that, the message has come from Sanatan Goswami about, the danger of by Nawab Hussain. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he raised both his hands and he says that I've come to this world to propagate the holy name of the Lord. I've come here to spread the love of Krishna to the heart of every living being. And it's only by my power that people are able to speak. If I don't give them the power to speak, they cannot speak. Only by my power, they're able to walk. If I don't give them the power to walk, they cannot walk. And in this way, why you all are very afraid of this person? He cannot do anything unless I empower him. In this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave comfort to the devotees. And then at night, Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami, they came to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in a private area. And Sanatan Goswami, Rupa Goswami, they met Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur. And by the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur, they were able to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And they told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that your arrival is a blessing to the people of Ramkeli. But in the same time, we are very much worried that Nawab Hussain can change his mind. And there could be much more danger for your life and also life of all other devotees around. So it's better you leave Ramkeli from here. And at the same time, please do not proceed further to Vrindavan, because there is also some dangers awaiting on the way. So in this way, Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami have somewhere advised Mahaprabhu to leave Ramkeli. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even though he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he accepted the advice of Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. And and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu indicated to Sanatana Goswami at that time that you both should leave the work of the Nawab Hussain and should come to Vrindavan. In this way, that Mahaprabhu's advice been taken by Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. Somewhere or other, Rupa Goswami was able to go away from the service very easily. And in fact, Rupa Goswami has a great wealth also. And he divided the wealth, half of his wealth he gave it to the devotees around, and 1/4 he gave it to his family, and another 1/4 he kept it for his personal emergency use. And Rupa Goswami, he left before Sanatana Goswami. Whereas Sanatana Goswami was not able to leave Ramakeli that easily, because he has occupied a very important service to the Mohammedan government, and he was not easily leave and go. But he took a leave from the government work in the pretext of not feeling well. He was sick. And in this work, for many days, he was not going to work. And Nawab Hussain has sent his physician, his doctor, to go and see what is the problem with Sanatana Goswami. When the physician, he came and then he checked that there is nothing wrong with Sanatana Goswami. He is perfectly in good health. And he went and told Nawab Hussain, actually he is in good health. There is nothing problem with him. And later Nawab Hussain himself, he came to see what's happening with Sanatana Goswami. When Nawab Hussain came, he saw that Sanatana Goswami with many other devotees, they are sitting and discussing Srimad Bhagavatam. And he got very much offended by this thing. And he told Nawab Hussain to immediately join him. And at that moment, he was heading towards Orissa. He wants to conquer Orissa. But then Sanatana Goswami told him, Orissa is the land of Jagannath. Jagannath is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And you want to go and fight with Jagannath, there is not a very easy thing. There is not a very good thing for you. I'm not coming to offend Jagannath. In this way, somewhere there, he was not very much, in term of Nawab Hussain. And Nawab Hussain ordered, Sanatan to be thrown in the jail. And Sanatana Goswami was in jail. And at that moment, he received a letter from his brother Rupa Goswami saying that he left 10,000 gold coins behind. So he can use that money to bribe the guard in the jail, the prison, and he can escape from there. So in this way, Sanatana Goswami, he gave the guard in the prison about 7,000 gold coins. And somewhere other, even the guard was very afraid, if you run away from here, what am I going to tell Nawab Hussain? And I will be in a great trouble. And at that time, Sanatana Goswami said, don't worry, you tell him that, I had some urgency in the Ganga. And he took me to Ganga, I jumped into the Ganga. So he may think that I've already given up my body, my life. So in this way, Sanatana Goswami, he escaped from the prison of Nawab Hussain. And he was heading towards Vrindavan. Of course, it was a very long journey. And on the way, he stopped at the Patara. There's a Patara, one place near the Bihar province. And he stayed there. He wants to put up overnight in a small hotel there. But then the hotel, the owner, he knows that this person is carrying some gold coins. The owner understood that, the servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Ishant, he has got some gold coin with him. And the hotel owner was very nicely giving reception for Sanatana Goswami with great awe and reverence. And Sanatana Goswami understood that, somebody has got another plan, hidden within himself. Then Sanatana Goswami asked his servant, Isan, if you have got some gold coins, and Isana says he has got 8 gold coins. So Sanatana Goswami took 7 gold coins from him and gave it to the hotel owner, and he gave one to Ishana for him to keep it in his life. So in this way, the hotel owner, he received this gold coin and he was very happy. But in the same time, he understood that Sanatana Goswami is not an ordinary man here. He is, he is the empowered, great sadhu himself. In this way that he began to make some, he told Sanatana Goswami he doesn't want to take these gold coins, but rather you will be happy to serve Sanatana Goswami. But then Sanatana Goswami told him, if you do not take this gold coin, and somebody else will plan to kill me for this gold coin, better you take it. So in this way, he accepted the gold coin, but in return, the owner of the hotel, he make a beautiful arrangement, a full arrangement that Sanatana Goswami can cross the Ganges River and he can safely, make his way towards Vrindavan. In this way, Sanatana Goswami, on the way, he met his brother-in-law, Sri Kanta, his sister's husband. He met him in the Ajipura. And somewhere or other, Sri Kanta has come there on business, work. And when he met him, Sri Kanta told him to stay there for a few days. But Sanatana Goswami says he urgently wants to go and meet up with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But in this way, Sri Kanta gave him a beautiful woolen chadar, woolen blanket for him. Very expensive, a beautiful woolen blanket. Then in this way, receiving these things, Sanatana Goswami came to Banaras, Varanasi in Banaras. That is where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was staying in the house of Chandrasekhar Acharya. And there was also another great devotee, Tapana Mishra, was there. That is the place where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu have established the holy name so wonderfully to the Mayavadi sannyasis aided by Prakasananda Saraswati. And when the Sanatana Goswami arrived at the house of Chandrasekhar Acharya, and he waited outside, and Mahaprabhu was inside the house of Chandrasekhar Acharya. And Mahaprabhu understood that Sanatana Goswami has arrived. Mahaprabhu told Chandrasekhar Acharya, there's a great Vaishnava has arrived. Please go and bring him inside. And Chandrasekhar Acharya, he went to see outside where's the Vaishnava. Normally we see the Vaishnava means, they got, tilak on their forehead and they got a neck beads, around the neck. They got some identification of a Vaishnava. But here, Sanatana Goswami, he has been, walking through the jungle and, he has left long ago, then he has not taken shower. So he already, the hairs are grown very long and he got a long beard and practically he was looking like a beggar and he was looking like a Muslim mendicant. So when Chandrasekhar Acharya, he came to see where's the great Vaishnava, but he could not see any Vaishnava around. So he went and told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I do not see any Vaishnava outside. Mahaprabhu told him, you go back, there's a great Vaishnava standing there, you bring him here. And he went back again and then he saw there's only like a Muslim mendicant is standing there. And he went and told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I do not see any Vaishnava. And at that time, Mahaprabhu said, Asad Sangha Vaishnava Acharya, Tri Sangha Eka Asadu. He says that the Krishna Bhakta Hara. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Vaishnava doesn't mean that he's only wearing the tilak and wearing a neck bead. He got the identification externally as a Vaishnava. Mahaprabhu said, Asad Sangha Tyagat, a Vaishnava Acharya. Tri Sangha Eka Asadu. And Bhakta, Krishna Bhakta Hara. Mahaprabhu says Vaishnava means he has given up the association of the a materialistic minded people. That is a real understanding of a Vaishnava. In this way, after telling this thing, Mahaprabhu went outside and then he saw that Sanatan Goswami was standing there like a Mohammedan mendicant, and he ran towards Sanatan Goswami to hug him. And that time Sanatan Goswami, seeing that Mahaprabhu is coming to hug him, and Sanatan Goswami began to run away from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, thinking that my body is so much contaminated and Mahaprabhu is not different from Krishna himself, and I should not let Mahaprabhu to touch my body to contaminate Mahaprabhu himself. In this way, he was trying to keep away from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But somewhere or other, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced him, and he appreciated the arrival of Sanatan Goswami. But he looked at Sanatan Goswami, he was like a Muslim mendicant with a long hair and long beard. So he told Chandrasekhar Acharya to take him to the Ganges river and give him a clean shave. So then Chandrasekhar Acharya took Sanatan Goswami and he was given a very clean shave, and he offered him a very beautiful, new dhoti and kurta, but Sanatan Goswami took the old one, a cheap one. In this way, he was wearing, very, cheap Vaishnava clothes. But at the same time, he had this, expensive woolen blanket around him given by his brother-in-law. And Mahaprabhu saw that, he is like a great, Vaishnava mendicant, but given up one thing, but another thing is, he's holding. And the way Mahaprabhu looked at the expensive woolen chadar, the blanket, and Sanatan Goswami understood that, Mahaprabhu is not happy with this thing, and then he went to the Ganges river to exchange with something more cheaper. In this way, Sanatan Goswami came to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, offered his obeisances, and not willing to, wake up, get up from his obeisances. And Mahaprabhu, he, with both his hands, he picked him up, he embraced him again. And at that time, Sanatan Goswami inquired from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sanatan Goswami is coming from a very great Brahmana family, a Vaishnava family, very highly educated person. In every way that he is very honorable and very respectful position. But when he came to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, Nicha jati, Nicha sangi, patita adhama, kuvisaya kupe padi, gunaino janama. He said, Nicha jati, Nicha sangi, patita adhama. He says that Nicha jati means I'm coming from a very low class family. And Nicha sangi, all my friends, association, all of them also very low class. And Kuvisaya Kupepadi, and I myself are very low class. And in this way, Sanatan Goswami proclaimed himself, has shown himself in a very humble position, not boasting around about, his background, but, he humbly told Mahaprabhu that he is more lower than anything else in the world. Nicha jati, nicha sangi, padita hadama, kuvisaye kutipadi, gunainu janama. And after that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him that, you do not speak like that, your humility is making, breaking my heart. Actually, you and me are very great friends in one time. So you are very elevated personally. Do not speak like that. At that time, Sanatan Goswami inquired from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He said, Apanara ita ita kichu nahi jane, gamme vihara pandito tai satyamani. He said that I do not know what is beneficial for me. And the people, in the external dealings, people are giving me a lot of respect. But if I do not know what is beneficial to me, and how do I know whatever I'm receiving is going to be good for me? So please kindly tell me. There are people in the village, they're telling that I'm a great scholar, a very learned person, very wealthy person, very honorable person. So please tell me, what is beneficial to me? At that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Kripa kari yadhi more no karyacha hada udara apana kripate kaha kartavya hamara. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, actually, you are very a great personality. Nobody speaks like that in a very humble way. And somewhere or other, to educate others, you are showing yourself in a great, in a great humility. But that is the blessing Krishna has given to you to keep you very humble. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that, do not, portray yourself, like you are the lowest among the human being. At that time, Chaitanya, Sanatana Goswami asked another thing he told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, ke hame kene amaya jara tapatraye, iha nahi jane ke ama ita ke mane ita haya. That Sanatana Goswami says that, who am I? Please tell me who am I? I do not wish to go through three kinds of miseries of life, but I'm forced to take birth, I'm forced to grow old, I'm forced to become diseased, and I'm also forced to give up my body at one point. Even though I'm not, willing to go through any of these miseries of life, please kindly tell me, who am I, who am I, who am I? At that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that Jivare Swarupai Krishna Re Nityadas. Krishna Re Tatata Sakti Beda Beda Prakash. Krishna has got a different energies. He has got three potency, Andaranga Shakti, Bahiranga Shakti, and Tatata Shakti. He says that, you are very powerful Shakti, energy of Krishna. And in the way Mahaprabhu says that Krishna Buli se Jiva, Krishna Buli se Jiva, Anadir Bahir Mukha, Atayeva Maya Tare Deha Samsara Heta. He says that, my dear Sanatana Goswami, due to the forgetfulness of the constitutional position of the living being as the servant of Krishna, as the fragmental eternal part and parcel of Krishna, somewhere or other they are put into this Maya, into the illusionary energy of the Lord. And he says that Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Chadaya Kabunaya Sravanadi Chuda Chitte Karaya Udaya. Only way to come out, from this illusion condition of life is that Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Chadaya Kabunaya Sravanadi Chuda, always hear the glories of the holy name of the Lord, glories of the Lord Krishna himself. And the hearing and chanting of the holy name of Krishna will relieve a person from the illusion condition of life. In this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught, the details information to Sanatana Goswami. And in that conversation, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu summarizes the teaching of devotional services. It is called the Sambandha Gyan. Actually, the Veda is very big. It has got many angas, but there is the essence in the Vedas. And the essence is that Bhagavan Sambandha Bhaktir Abhideya Haya Prema Prayojana Vedatina Vastukaya. That the essence of the Veda is that the living entities has got the eternal Sambandha, relationship with Krishna, Bhagavan Sambandha. Bhaktir Abhideya Haya. There's a method to revive the Sambandha, this relationship that is called Abhideya. And the Prayojana, the ultimate result will be, the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, summarizes the whole teaching of devotional service in the Sambandha Gyan, Abhideya Gyan, in the Prayojana Gyan. In this way, after teaching Sanatana Goswami the important details information of devotional service, Mahaprabhu gave four instruction to Sanatana Goswami. Mahaprabhu told Sanatana Goswami, you should go to Vrindavan and you should reside in Vrindavan. And in Vrindavan, number one, you have to discover and excavate all the pastime places of Lord Krishna. Discover and uncover the pastime places of Lord Krishna in Vrindavan. This is the first advice, the instruction Mahaprabhu gave it to Sanatana Goswami. And the second is that after finding all these holy places, now he installed deities and then establish a worship for them. This is the second instruction is given to him. And the third instruction is that compile the book, a detailed information about devotional services to the Lord. And the fourth instruction is that also you compile the book on the behavior of the devotees and the rules and regulation of the path of a devotional service. In this way, Mahaprabhu taught Sanatana Goswami in Banaras about the devotional services and gave him four instructions to execute in Vrindavan. And taking this advice and this order from Mahaprabhu as life and soul, Sanatana Goswami, he came to Vrindavan and he was living in a very humble, very simple way of his life. And he stayed around Mathura, and he made a small cottage for him to stay there. And he was doing a madhukari, going door to door. And while he was going to door, then he came to a house of Chaube. He's a Damodar Chaube, and his wife is the Vallabha Devi, and they had a son called Madan Mohan. And they have a beautiful deity of a Madan Gopal in their house. And but they were having a parental and friendship, sambandha with this deity. They were not in the dasya, some relationship. They were in the parental, and they were also in the friendship. So in that mood, they were, more or less not following much of, very strict rules and regulation, to serve the Lord there. And Sanatana Goswami, looking at them that they are not very strictly serving the Lord there, and he advised them that, better you follow properly all those things. And he went back, and at that night, Krishna came into their dream. He came to Sanatana Goswami dream, and he also went to the dream of the, that Chaube and his wife Vallabhi. And in the dream, Krishna, the Madan Gopal, he says that Sanatana Goswami, I like to come and stay with you for some times. And Sanatana Goswami says, you come and stay with me, what are you going to do? I have nothing much to offer to you. I'm just like a simple mendicant. Better for you to stay in that house. And he said, no, I would like to come and stay with you. In the same time, the Gopal said to the Chaube that, I would like to go with Sanatana Goswami. In this way, the Madan Gopal deity has come to Sanatana Goswami. And Sanatana Goswami was a very simple mendicant. He go to door, he gets some wheat flour, and then, he takes some water from the Yamuna, soak the wheat flour, into the water, and then he'll make a small chapati. There is nothing, there is no ghee, there is no salt. In this way, he was offering to the Gopal deity. And one day the Gopal deity complained to Sanatana Goswami. He says no, totally there is no salt in the chapati he make. And Sanatana Goswami said, look, today you will ask for salt, and tomorrow you will ask for ghee, and after that you will ask for big temple and all the upachar. He said, I won't be able to do this thing, but I got a lot of other work to do. He has to write books on the devotional service. He has to discover all the holy places, and he has got all the work has been given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He has to concentrate in that one. And Sanatana Goswami practically told the deity that I won't have time to go and look for the rich people to go to ask for donation and come and make all these things for you. So it's not possible. And hearing this thing, the deity became very quiet, did not speak another word. So in this way, that Sanatana Goswami, he was a very simple Vaishnava. It's very important for us to understand why we have to follow the path of Sanatana Goswami, because Sanatana Goswami, he is not only very simple and is not only very humble, but he somewhere or other renounced internally and externally. It's not easy for anybody to renounce internally and externally. Some people might have internally renounced, but externally they may be also holding something of this material attachment. But some people, they may be, externally renounced, but internally they may be holding some of the attachment. But here, Sanatana Goswami was a very perfect example. But he has renounced the material attachment internally and externally. And he remained very humble and very simple in his life. So Sanatana Goswami in this way carried on his service. And Krishna understands that, Sanatana Goswami very simple and very humble. He won't be able to have, salt and ghee and all the temple for me. Then the Lord, made his own arrangement. And, there is a businessman. His name was, Sri Krishnadas Kapoor. And he came to Mathura. Somewhere or other, yes, his boat was carrying, a lot of goods, especially the salt. And he's meant to sell it in Mathura. But somewhere or other, the boat stuck, in the sandbar of the Yamuna river there. So somewhere he tried many different ways to clear, but he was not able to free the boat from the sandbar. And he asked around some help, but he was not able to free the boat from it. And finally, somebody told him about, the sadhu Sanatana Goswami is very simple, very humble, very dedicated to Krishna. So he may be able to help you. And he came to Sanatana Goswami, and Sanatana Goswami told him, I'm like a beggar. I'm a poor, Vaishnava here, and I don't have any means to help you. But if you really want help, you pray to, the deity Madana Mohan, they will help you. In this way that the wealthy businessman, Sri Krishnadas Kapoor, he prayed to the Lord to help him out on this situation. And he promised that, once it is done, and the profit, I will, make a good service for you and for your devotee. In this way, and that night there was a heavy storm and a very heavy downpour of rain. And automatically, the Yamuna river flooded, and automatically the boat, be freed from the sandbar. In this way, the wealthy men have made a beautiful temple, Radha Madana Mohan, in Vrindavan. In this way, Sanatana Goswami was continuously performing his devotional service unto the Lord. And he was so much devoted that, one time he visited Govardhan Hill. That is where Rupa Goswami was staying there. And he went to stay a few days with Rupa Goswami. He went there, and one day he entered a forest, and then he stayed in that forest for a few days doing his bhajan. And he was not eating anything, not drinking anything. And looking at Sanatana Goswami's commitment into bhakti is so deep. And the Lord himself, disguised as the coward boy, and he brought milk for Sanatana Goswami. And he told Sanatana Goswami, that I heard, you've been sitting there and doing bhajan, but, I've not eaten anything. Please take this thing. And Sanatana Goswami says that, there is not a problem of anything for me. That, who told you that, I'm in, not taken anything here. And the coward boy says that, the whole village is talking about you, that, I have not eaten anything. So they have given me this milk to give it to you. The moment, he wants to transfer the milk, and the coward boy disappear from there. And Sanatana Goswami understand that it could not be other than, the Lord himself. So Sanatana Goswami appreciated, the great, contribution that, great, exchange of love Krishna is showing to him. And another time when the Rupa Goswami was thinking that he wants to make a special sweet rice for his brother, Sanatana Goswami. But, he was thinking, but he doesn't have, rice, he hasn't had the milk, he hasn't had the sugar to make the sweet rice. And he was thinking how to make a sweet rice without any of these things, but he was very eager. He wants to make the sweet rice for Sanatana Goswami. And understanding the deep desire of Rupa Goswami to serve Sanatana Goswami. As Radharani herself, and she appeared there to Rupa Goswami. And she brought sugar in a basket, and she brought rice, and she also brought milk to make a sweet rice. In this way, she gave it to Rupa Goswami. She said that I understood that you want to make a sweet rice, so these are the ingredients here, and you make the sweet rice and give it to Sanatana Goswami. And by the time he took the basket, before he transferred the thing, and already Radharani disappeared from there. And he could not understand who is this, coward girl that, have brought these things to me. And when Sanatana Goswami arrived, to this place, and then he saw that a beautiful, very tasty sweet rice has been made for him. And Sanatana Goswami, he knows that Rupa Goswami don't have, any of these ingredients. And he hasn't even have the money to go and buy sugar, rice and milk. Where he get this, sweet rice? And inquire from Rupa Goswami. At that time, Rupa Goswami says that actually, I was deeply desiring that, I want to offer you this sweet rice. But of course, I knew that, I don't have this ingredient. Suddenly, there's a girl appeared, and then she gave me these things. And by the time I transfer this thing, and then already she disappeared from here. In this way, again, Sanatana Goswami understood that, is none other than Radharani herself. In this way, they were beautifully engaged into, a devotional service. And the Lord is very kind, seeing that the devotees are very much devoted, towards him. And they live very simple and very humble. And the Lord himself made, a lot of different arrangements that, they can be taken care in many ways, and they can perform devotional service unto him. Even was a time that, Sanatana Goswami was staying near the Lord Shiva's temple, near Govardhan, and there were plenty of mosquitoes there. And nobody can stay in that place with that kind of mosquitoes around. And Sanatana Goswami was thinking that, it's not possible for me to, write the books, sitting in this place. There are plenty of mosquitoes. And he was thinking to leave the place to another place, and understanding this thing. Lord Shiva himself, he made arrangement. Lord Shiva declared, from tomorrow onward, there won't be any mosquitoes in this place. And Lord Shiva made the arrangement, the mosquitoes disappear from there. And he made the arrangement that Sanatana Goswami can sit there, and then he can write, all these literatures, pertaining to devotional service unto the Supreme Lord himself. In this way, Sanatana Goswami was getting old. He was about 65 years old. Every day he had a commitment to walk around, do the parikram of the Govardhan Hill. At that time, Govardhan Hill was at 24 miles. But I think today it has come to 14 miles, I think. So it was the bigger area to cover, 24 miles. He has to walk every day. He's not just walking, but he pays the full dandabat. Like we go to Govardhan, we can see that people are doing, total, prostrate dandabat, Govardhan. Then he every day, he was doing this, dandabat, for 24 miles. And there was his vow. And Krishna appeared to him and told him that, you're getting old. So you can give up that service of, doing the parikram of Govardhan hill. But Sanatana Goswami says, there is no way that I will given up my vow. I've taken a vow to serve the Lord in that manner. I'm going to keep to my vow. But then Krishna says that, it is very difficult work because you're getting old. But Sanatan says, I'm not going to give up. So understanding that Sanatana Goswami was very determined to keep the vow, of doing parikram, around the Govardhan hill. Krishna himself, he stand on the flat, place of the Govardhan, Srila there. And Krishna played his flute and he melted, where the lotus feet of Krishna imprint, into that saligram, sila. Then with the thing, Krishna gave him a replica of Govardhan to Sanatana Goswami. He says that now you go around this replica, this Govardhan, it is as good as that, you have made the 24 miles of Govardhan parikram. In this way, Krishna made everything more possible. That Sanatana Goswami can keep his vow. At the same time, he can take care of his health at that old age. In this way that, in 1558, I think that is by the age of 70 years old that Sanatana Goswami has departed from this world. But Sanatana Goswami is not just, an ordinary Goswami. Oh, he is also very elevated Goswami. Though, like, he was only interested into the service of Krishna, very much absorbed in the service of Krishna, but in the same time, Sanatana Goswami was very personal to the people of the, to the Brajabasis there. Sanatana Goswami personally will go and talk to them and inquire from them, if you got enough food in your house, how your children are doing in their life, if you, harvested, your crop, if you taken care of your health. So Sanatana Goswami also shown his personal interest into all the people of, Vrindavan. And everybody were very liked, very happy with Sanatana Goswami because not only he was very serious in Krishna consciousness toward Krishna, but he also very, eager into the welfare for all the people around. In this way, they found that the beautiful qualities of Sanatana Goswami, being very meek and humble, very simple, very honest, and very dedicated to the service of Krishna. Somewhere or other, everybody around Vrindavan, whoever they met him, they were very happy and they loved him, with their heart and soul. In this way, all those things and an education for us, that Sanatana Goswami becomes an exemplary devotee. A devotee who is very simple, very humble, even though he is very advanced in his life. And for a person like Sanatana Goswami, who was holding a very big position in the government, being a treasurer, even the Nawab Hussain, the government has given him, a big piece of land where he has built, beautiful, a palace into that one. And he also built, many mansions in that land. And he was very rich and he had all these opulences. And for a person with all these opulences to just to throw, give away, give up in all those things to become a mendicant in Vrindavan is not that easy ways to do, easy things to do. So Sanatana Goswami has shown a very great detachment in his life. That's what Mahaprabhu says, he is the extension of my own body. That internally and externally Sanatana Goswami has given up. He has renounced the attachment of this world. And even he has, renounced everything. He was very highly situated on the path of Krishna consciousness, but he remained very humble and meek. He remained very simple. In this way, the beautiful qualities of Sanatana Goswami has attracted the Lord, more and more, attracted the people of Vrindavan and more in this way. Sanatana Goswami has become an ideal exemplary devotee for us to follow his footsteps. Even though in the Kali Yuga is not possible for us to strictly follow everything, but that simplicity shown by Sanatana Goswami, that humility shown by Sanatana Goswami, and the great, detachment shown by Sanatana Goswami, all those things can become a good, education in our own life, where we can progress further into Krishna consciousness. In this way, Sanatana Goswami has, appeared in this world in 1488, and he disappeared from this world in 1558. That means Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in 1486. And Sanatana Goswami appeared in 1488. That means Sanatana Goswami 2 years younger than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Whereas Rupa Goswami is 5 years younger than Sanatana Goswami. In this way that, he has dedicated his life for the propagation of Krishna consciousness. As I said before, that importantly that, the summarization of the whole teaching of Krishna consciousness into the Sambandha, into the Abhidheya, into the Prayojana, into re-establishing Krishna consciousness, which we have lost, being coming to this material world, and the method to revive that, re-establishment of Krishna consciousness, and then, going back to Krishna becomes the essence of the life of the human being. So easily that Mahaprabhu summarizes and taught Sanatana Goswami, and Sanatana Goswami has, written a different books like, Briyat Bhagavatamrita, and he also written a Hari Bhakti Vilas, and he also written, Briyat, Vaishnava Tosini, a lot of beautiful, wonderful, literature's contribution, and, simplicity Sanatana Goswami has shown us. And his samadhi is still there in the behind Madana Gopal temple. Let us take, the opportunity today that remember of his contribution towards our own welfare. His simplicity has shown, to us, and in this way, by the blessing of, all the Goswamis, and by the blessing of, all the Vaishnavas, that we can remain as a devotee for rest of our life. If we can cultivate simplicity in our life, that will be the great asset, in our life. And the Goswamis, especially Sanatana Goswami, in the prayer, say Nana Sastra Vicharanaika Vipunauta Sad Dharma Samsapakav Lokanamita Karinao Tribhuvane. That prayer, it says that the 6 Goswamis, they've dedicated their life. The 6 Goswami, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami. And they have, totally dedicated their life in scrutinizingly studying, all the Vedic literature. And in this way that, they have become an exemplary devotee for us to follow, because they have served the Lord in the mood of the gopis. And their own personal quality has become an exemplary for all of us. In this, let us make sure that every day we spend some time reading Prabhupada books. We spend some time, chanting holy name of the Lord. And we spend some time, association of the devotees. In this way, by the process of Krishna consciousness, laid out by, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, all the Goswamis, laid out by the, by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and is, given to us by, by our own acharyas, and, in the association of the devotees in a very peaceful manner. And if we can practice bhakti, definitely that will benefit our own life. It will benefit of the life of others. And within this very lifetime, that we can achieve the ultimate goal of life, to attain Krishna Prem and go back to the spiritual world. I would like to take the opportunity to thank all the devotees there, especially Krishna Chandra Prabhu, for giving me this opportunity to say something about Sanatana Goswami. Thank you so much, and all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jai Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you so much for enlightening us about the glories of Srila Sanatana Goswami. Thank you so much for coming online and
Thank you, Prabhu.
association. Maharaj, just two questions. First of all, it's a humble request. Since you have touched the life of Srila Sanatana Goswami, is it possible for you to come tomorrow and touch the life of Srila Rupa Goswami? Because both are brothers, so you can, if possible.
tomorrow I got another two program tomorrow.
Achha.
Normally Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now also in Malaysia, they're opening up now. The temples can open up to do the program, and devotees are opening up the temple because they are worrying, if anything is possible, maybe there will be a different, virus may come and attack. And again, the temple may close down for, 1 or 2 years. So they thought, since the government say can open up, and then they thought, open up and then, take the responsibility. So the temples are opening up, and then I've been doing some program for different centers here. I've been talking, the 18 days Bhagavad Gita in a daily life. And I was talking, Mahabharata in daily life, I was talking also about, so all this program has been, somewhere rather stopped because of the COVID thing. So there is a great demand for me to continue back. So I do not know how am I going to leave them and come, because, they may chase me out from Malaysia.
No, they won't, Maharaj.
Eh?
They won't.
You can always come to New Zealand, Maharaj.
New Zealand is too cold for me. So I got tomorrow 2 classes. I got tomorrow.
Yeah.
And up to Sunday. As I said, there are all the programs they are opening up back again. So I thought to take the advantage and meet the devotee, because we have not met the devotee for almost 1.5 years.
Fair enough, Maharaj.
Everywhere, nobody is coming to the temple. Everything going on online, So we're just seeing the face, just online Zoom classes only. Somewhere or other, we are not that inspired. So that is the problem now.
No, all good, Maharaj. Understand. Thank you. And Maharaj, you did mention about that Srila that Lord Krishna gave to Sanatana Goswami, that he, instead of doing the parikma for Govardhan, he does the parikma for the Srila. Any idea where is this Srila now?
I don't know, Prabhu. I'm not very sure about it,
He's now in Damodar temple, Vrindavan. Radha Damodar temple.
They must be there, yeah.
You can go to darshan every day.
But I don't know. I go to Vrindavan. I do not walk around that much, Prabhu, because I always try to stay in one place and do some reading, and then I try to protect my health, because too much walking around, going here and there, it may affect my health, the dust and other things. So normally I do not, do much of parikram. Only 3 days before leaving Vrindavan, I go for parikram and then I leave, I'm not a person going everywhere, anywhere in Vrindavan. So I'm not, knowing much of this thing, but, the devotee said that it's in Vrindavan, in Damodar temple. And maybe next time I got to go and, just circumambulate, this replica of Govardhan, that's enough ready. Somewhere
good idea, Maharaj.
somewhere I found an easy way to do my parikram in Vrindavan.
No, thank you, Maharaj. So is there any other question? Any of the devotees, you are most welcome to ask.
Thank you so much for being here.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Somebody's got a question.
Eh?
Nidgopal Prabhu, go on.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Please
Hare
accept my
Krishna.
humble obeisances. Thank you very much for the wonderful class.
Hare
Maharaj, you mentioned when Sanatana Goswami wrote to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about Nawab Hussain Shah.
Yeah.
And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that that nothing can happen unless I empower him.
Yeah.
So there's no need to fear the Nawab. Right? So in that light, I was just wondering about Haridas Thakur,
Yeah.
and he was beaten by the Qazi, or due to the Qazi, he was beaten in 22 marketplaces. So is that also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's will in that sense?
Yeah, that's right, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants to educate all the devotees that in every situation, every condition, the devotee should see that the presence of Krishna. When the presence of Krishna has been seen, means that, everything is good when, Krishna takes care, when his hand is involved in that thing. Even Haridas Thakur, when he was beaten up in 22 marketplaces, and even when he was in the prison, before that, and he was, chanting, and he was happy in the prison house. And he was, happily living in the prison house chanting. And one of the prisoners asked Haridas Thakur, he said, why you are happy? We are in the prison house. We are in the prison house, but why you are happy being in the prison house? And Haridas Thakur asked him, can you repeat, what did you say? And the prisoner friend, he said that, we are in the prison house. Don't you know that we are in the prison house? And why you are happy about it? And Haridas Thakur says, you have got the mercy of Krishna. And the prisoner asks, how am I got the mercy of Krishna? Haridas Thakur says that, everybody in the world, they are living in the prison house, but they do not know that they are living in the prison house. At least you know that you are living in the prison house. There is a great mercy of, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When he was beaten up 22 places, the devotees were very, unhappy to see the situation. But Sanatana, Haridas Thakur says, actually, it is a great punishment for me because they were talking bad about Krishna, but I did not protest it, in the way that Krishna has punished me. In the way, even though, Haridas Thakur been put in a different situation, but he remains, faithfully in the service of Krishna. There is an indication that, that however great devotee you are, whatever situation you go through in your life, you should be like a Haridas Thakur. It's not that, something good happens that, you love Krishna. Something, not, very, lovable things happen to you that, you hate Krishna. So in every situation that, Krishna is putting a devotee in that condition so that the devotee can able to see Krishna in that situation. Our life is useless unless, you realize that Krishna is present in every moment in your life. So there's a test Krishna is giving, because the greatest test will come. Of all the tests in our life, the greatest test is the death itself. That's the most difficult time we're going to go through in our life. According to the Shastra, when a child is, coming out from the womb of the mother, you go through, unconsciousness, you go through a great difficulty. And it says that the death will be 100 times much more greater than the birth. So when the death comes, we have to understand it's going to be a greater pain of leaving the world. So now Krishna puts the devotee into a different kind of situation so that devotee can be able to go through and prepare the greatest, time the death is going to come. In a small ways in this, situation, if you are not able to think of Krishna, how are you going to think of Krishna in a great danger time, So Krishna, he trained the devotee slowly, step by step. And even the greatest danger comes in your life, you're not shaken by it, because you're already, well trained and well prepared in Krishna consciousness. So life of Haridas Thakur, any greater devotee, just like Prabhupada, he is, the Saktivesh avatar of Krishna. And he went through so much of difficulties in his own life, to propagate Krishna consciousness. And while going, to America, he faced, 2 heart attacks, And, Prabhupada, he was very much, in a great, difficulty in America. With all those things, we see that that faith and the commitment and dedication and the simplicity of a Vaishnavas is meant for us to learn from them. So Krishna shows the life of Haridas Thakur that, is an exemplary devotee, that, you don't think that you already come to a greater elevation that, and you are now safe, of everything in the material world. Samasrita e pada pallava plavam. That means at every step in the material world, there's a danger. So Krishna wants us to be more careful all the time. And the life of Haridas Thakur, life of Sanatana Goswami, Srila Prabhupada is a good exemplary for us to always remain in Krishna consciousness. That nothing happens here without sanction of Krishna. And because it has been given by Krishna, and it only can be taken back by Krishna. So always remain in Krishna consciousness. There's the education we have to learn from here.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Thank you
Maharaj,
so
do we
much.
also know that was a wonderful answer? There was so much to learn from that answer itself. Do we also know if Haridas Thakur felt the pain of the beatings and was tolerating it, or that he didn't feel the pain because he was so much absorbed in Krishna consciousness, or both?
That's right, that's right. That's right, yeah. So in every situation, our life is meant for Krishna consciousness. And toleration, titikshava karunika, the greatest quality of Vaishnava, that he must able to tolerate in every situation. So that, pastime of Haridas Thakur is for us to learn that we have to tolerate everything in our life in order to achieve the highest perfection of life. Nothing is the easy way out from the material world. It is the most, dangerous place of, of the, of being in the material world, and understanding that every moment there's a danger here, and we should be very much dedicated and, committed to Krishna consciousness. And like Haridas Thakur, he did not find any pain because he was not bodily, conscious. The moment you are bodily conscious, you feel the pain and everything. But the moment you transcended the body and you have nothing to do, just like, Krishna was talking to Uddhava. Uddhava, if once asked Krishna, are you friend of Uddhava, are you a friend, of the Pandavas? If you are a friend of the Pandavas, why did not come to help them? Why you put them into that kind of difficulties? And Krishna asked, Uddhava, who go through the difficulties? Is it the body? Is it the soul? And that moment, Uddhava was thinking, what to answer Krishna, because, Krishna was asking, the body suffer or the soul suffer? And Uddhava said, better you answer. And Krishna says, the body by nature is a dead body. A dead body, you go and kick or you go and punch, the dead body never feel anything. So the body never go through any pain. Now you talk about the soul. The soul is Satchidananda, is eternally, blissful. And the soul, cannot be, Nainam Chindanti Sastra. It cannot be cut, by any weapon. It cannot be burned by fire. Cannot be moisture by water. The soul cannot be done by anything. So the soul by nature, it hasn't got, any kind of suffering here. So the body hasn't got any kind of suffering. The soul hasn't got any kind of suffering. So now you tell me who's suffering here? So it's all, our mental concoction, good and bad, everything in the mental concoction. And in a way that the moment we are in the bodily concept of life, we go through the difficulty. But the moment, you are transcended, then, you don't have any pain in the material world. So that's why Krishna once Arjuna says, Sukha Dukhe Samakritva Labao Jayadev. Whether you are in a happy condition or distant condition, he says, always, focus into, Krishna consciousness. That's very important. So nobody suffers here, because, it is only when you identify, with the bodily concept of life, then you feel all the pain here. A person who is totally detached from here, he hasn't got to do anything in the material world.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Chandra Prabhu. Krishna Chandra Prabhu is a transcendental.
He has disappeared just
No.
for a short time.
He's always happy.
Actually, His Grace Kala Samara Prabhu, he sent me the photo of the shaligram that we were talking about. And
Very good, very good. He is the
and-
man, he always, in Vrindavan.
yeah, and
And
he
every
messaged
day
me.
he goes around Parigram.
Yeah, actually, he's listening on the Facebook, and he messaged me. So I was trying to put it on the chat. So that's why I put myself on, remove my camera.
Very good, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Actually, Nitai Pad Prabhu has also got a photo.
Hopefully, we can visit Vrindavan in near future. Okay, Prabhu.
Thank you so much. One question or a comment. Maharaj, you mentioned that Sanatana Goswami was very simple and humble, and he was internally and externally very renounced. So, Maharaj, can you explain how to be internally very renounced? Externally, we can see.
It's very difficult to answer you because I have not done this thing. I'm not perfected internal and external. So I should not answer you if I'm not doing it. It will be a great hypocrisy on my part. Very difficult because we are in the preaching movement. Prabhupada said if a policeman has to catch a thief, he has to run as good as a thief. So somewhere or other, I'm trying to take a role, of Prabhupada instruction. Being internal and external, renouncing material attachment. No, I'm not really qualified to speak about it because I'm not practicing it. So we should not say what we are not doing. But in a good example, at one point in our life, that automatically that will take place. At one point in our life, either we do it voluntarily at the present moment, or it will be forcefully taken away both from us. External and internal, both will be taken away by force at the time of death. So it will happen either by force or volunteer. And because the Prabhupada says, I could sit in Mayapur under a small cottage and chant Hare Krishna, but who will come to Mayapur? Who will take advantage of Mahaprabhu's birthplace and everything? And for that reason, we have to put up all this big building and everything so that it will attract the whole world to come. So like that, for some preaching purposes, some devotee may externally they may be appear to be not very detached, but internally they may be very detached. And for some devotee, maybe externally they're very detached, but internally they may be very attached. But we shouldn't say anything of this thing because only Krishna seated in everyone's heart. He knows how much internally and externally somebody has renounced, the attachment of this world. Sometimes because our movement, Prabhupada movement, is the preaching movement. So we do anything and everything to connect somebody into ISKCON organization to teach them about the reality of life. So for that reason, that very difficult for me to say anything here. Nanda Prabhu.
Thank you, Maharaj.
You are very detached. You are living in New Zealand. And I found, very difficult to live in New Zealand and practice bhakti. Because the moment you are inside, the compound, of the devotees surrounding, you feel that you are in the Hare Krishna environment, Hare Krishna devotee. The moment you go out from there, and everywhere, for me, like a graveyard, nothing there. New Zealand, whole New Zealand is like a graveyard, nothing is happening there. It's not like India, where everywhere you go, some temples, some people, somewhere they're connected with, Vedic Dharma. So like that, being in New Zealand, you are still detached and you want to be, more closer to Krishna. You are attracted to Krishna consciousness. Definitely, you have got, plenty of a mercy from the Lord Himself. Without that mercy, how are you going to be like this? Even in Vrindavan, you are detached from your Auckland, your Wellington, and your Christchurch, day-to-day happening. May the Lord give me the blessing that I may come and touch your feet and take some dust from your feet. You are like my father.
Oh, Maharaj, we need your mercy.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj. Okay. Any more questions, comments? Maybe we can share the photo, Krishna Prabhu or Nitai Patru.
Yeah, please kindly do this thing, and then hopefully we can meet up next time. Krishna Chandra Prabhu.
Yes, Maharaj, definitely.
It's just in Malaysia they're opening up all the centers and all the program.
Yeah.
Because the cases are still high, Prabhu. The cases are still high. But they're opening it up because the economic situation, people, job, and many things. So and they want the people to be responsible of their own act, and then they protect themselves. And they're opening up all the churches and temple and all the mosques and everything. So devotee found, everybody going to work and everybody, trying to do something. So why we have to close the temple, as they are, trying to protect themselves in every situation. Let the devotee also follow the SOP and try to be careful. So in this way, we do not know how long it will be kept open. So devotees are trying to gather and do some program. So I'm going to be a little bit busy on that one because almost 1.5 years we have not done anything like this. So a little bit of devotee satsanga.
Fair enough, Maharaj. Now we'll be in touch, and whenever you
Yes, sure,
let
sure.
me know, then we can organize something.
If otherwise you call our Nalini Prabhu to speak everything. He is the scholar. He's a great scholar. Or you can call both of them, Nalini and Radha Padma. Both of them can do the preaching for you. They have no other work. Look at them all the time sitting in the house only. Okay, Krishna Chandra Prabhu, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Hopefully, by the Lord's mercy, that we can meet up again. Hare Krishna.